Before I begin this video, I would like to warn everyone that this video will be about politics and have brief mentions of death and abuse. If for whatever reason you are uncomfortable with that, then feel free to click off this video. Hello everyone, Pac Mario Moy Music here, and today I am doing another commentary. To explain the context, YouTube commentator TommyNFG made a video talking about how he thinks that Gen Z is one of the most hateful generations. Now before I begin this video, I want to make people aware, as I said in the disclaimer, that this video will be delving into politics, but it's not exactly against the points themselves, but more so how the points are constructed. With that all being said, let's begin the commentary.
Gen Z as a whole generation is bad at a lot of things. Bad at not getting addicted to vaping and making up new methods to get high. Bad at focusing for longer than 5 minutes without having to scroll on TikTok for an hour. Bad at not ordering DoorDash 4 to 5 times a week. But what Gen Z is best at, its magnus opus, is hate. There is no generation that is as hateful or vile as much as Gen Z is. There's generations that grew up and fought in wars, and I swear they're still not as hateful as us. If the people that fought in wars had to sit at a middle school or high school lunch table in 2016 and get roasted, they'd leave with more PTSD than on the war field.
But Tommy, didn't you say in your video, most annoying people, I was born in the wrong generation, that one reason for why people would not want to live back then was that people were not as tolerant when it came to people's interests and identities compared to nowadays?
Also, technology has made communication with anyone you can relate to much easier. Back then, if you were a little weird and didn't fit with everyone, you were pretty much screwed. Everyone would just openly laugh at you and bully you for whatever it was. Nowadays, life has gotten easier for anyone that has anything, and that's because inclusion. No one is left out of something just because of what they are anymore. But oh boy, was it not even close to how inclusive it is in our generation back then. Like back then, if you were black, for example, you couldn't even walk down the street without being at risk of someone openly shouting the N-word at you, or just being racist to you and making it as obvious as they can. Because, you know, it's the 70s, 80s, and 90s. Segregation sort of just ended for them. This whole being a non-racist thing is kind of new to them. They gotta adapt. And what are you gonna do? Cancel them for saying it? Imagine telling a bunch of racist people back then that they would be canceled for saying the word. They were just gonna look at you with a very confused look, then proceed to beat the living shit out of you. So honestly, I think you'll fit great and won't be discriminated in the 70s, 80s, and 90s. Of course, that's as long as you're not black, not Asian, not Hispanic, not gay, not a woman, not disabled, and more.
While some of the examples that you bring up in this video are still people being hateful, they aren't as bad as the hate that was directed towards people in previous generations for their interests and identities.
Nowadays, it seems like everything that goes viral is due to some type of hating. Think of some of the biggest things last year. Drake versus Kendrick, making fun of Ice Spice, happy for the elimination of the healthcare CEO. Alright, that one's a little more valid, but you get my point.
Your first two examples are not exclusive to Gen Z. For the first example, celebrity beefs are something you see in every generation. In the 90s we had Biggie versus Tupac, Ice Cube and NWA. 2000s we had Ja Rule versus 50 Cent, Nas versus Jay-Z, and in the 2010s we had Taylor Swift versus Katy Perry, and Drake versus Meek Mill. All of these celebrity beefs had music connected to their beefs. We have Tupac's Hit 'Em Up, Biggie's Who Shot Ya, Ice Cube's No Baseline, Jay-Z's Takeover, Nas's Ether. 50 Cent and Ja Rule made a lot of diss tracks targeted towards each other. One of Taylor Swift's most popular songs, Bad Blood, was speculated to be directed towards Katy Perry, to which he responded with Swish Swish. Drake's diss track on Meek Mill, Back to Back, was so popular, it peaked at number 21 on Billboard and ended up at number 99 on the 2015 Year-End Hot 100. Then there's your second example of people making fun of Ice Spice. Other artists have received insane backlash in previous generations, such as Rebbeca Black for her song Friday, receiving 3.2 million dislikes in comparison to 454,000 likes. Nickelback's near endless backlash for the past 21 years. Starship for their song We Built This City was often regarded as one of the worst songs ever during the 2000s. Anyways, I'm going to be skipping most of the first half of the video because it is mostly about people making fun of deceased rapper XXXTentacion, whom I'll just refer to as X for the rest of the video, for being corny. Now, this segment is mostly fine. I do agree that it is fucked up to make fun of a deceased person because he was corny in a couple of interviews, and people who said horrendous things such as he deserved to go deserve to be called out. However, there was one problem I have with this segment.
I wanted to talk about this now because there's been this trend on TikTok hating on a certain rapper. Someone you all should know, like I could literally put a picture of his hair and you would all guess it. XXXTentacion. The speed X took over the rap game was something I think we haven't seen since he came out. This man was in jail when Look At Me came out and was going viral. He went in jail as a pretty unknown guy, then overnight became a celebrity. It was like one day on the internet you started to see these variations of profile pictures of X, and I can't lie, I was one of them dudes in school rocking the X profile picture. He had that cult-like rap following that only a certain amount of rappers have. Nowadays, his closest equivalent is probably Cardi Glazers. You got Ye fans, Travis Scott fans, Youngboy fans, but I would say out of all of them, he was blowing them out the water with the amount of grass he had on his fans, even just from my account. I used to be staying updated on everything he had going on, and he was always getting in some type of drama. So you could always check his Instagram story and there being a chance he's dissing one of your favorite rappers. And even if you didn't listen to him or didn't care about him, you had no choice but to see him because the social media pages were posting him all the time. I remember so many were trying to sound like X and even copy the cadence he talks in. He was relatable to a lot of the younger generation because he would talk about his depression and what he's going through, and also give motivational talks all the time, telling people to chase their dream.
I find it odd that you don't mention his domestic abuse cases and violent crimes. Throughout most of this segment, you talk about X like he was this inspirational figure. Granted, you do mention his legal troubles and him talking shit about other rappers, but you don't tell the viewers what exactly he got locked up for. Now again, I'm not saying that X deserved what happened to him, I just find it odd that you don't mention any of that.
Who am I? Someone that's afraid to let you know. Hell nah.
Another thing that showed me how hateful our generation is was when gender arguments and people started to dedicate podcasts to hating another gender. I think the sole reason of why the birth rate is declining worldwide is because the people that run these stupid ass podcasts. In the past, you went out to find someone and had your criterias, then boom, marriage. But nowadays, people get swayed for a potential option because they had Fresh and Fit tell them otherwise.
This is a very unpopular opinion, but I'm gonna say it anyway. I think if you're in a serious relationship with a girl, she should not have an Instagram. That's cheating.
Gen Z men are boring. Men are boring. You're lazy. You're boring. You don't have hobbies. You're unambitious. You don't know how to talk to women. You're not respectful.
Tommy, I hate to break it to you, but while these two clips both share hatred for the opposite gender, one is clearly worse than the other. The first clip you show is a man advising his fellow men to be incredibly abusive and controlling towards their girlfriends by not allowing them to have an Instagram account. The second clip you show is a woman just saying something mean about men. I also feel like it's misogynistic to make fun of the woman's appearance, but not doing the same for the man. You don't think the man's ugly? You couldn't find a pretty woman saying something misandrous? You couldn't find an ugly dude saying something misogynistic? Either way, great job proving your point that Gen Z men aren't nice.
I'm just gonna keep giving you 100%, Chef. Every day.
I'll give you 125%, Chef.
I don't know percentages.
Another thing that showed me how hateful we are is politics. There was no other generation where someone's political view pissed you off so much that you couldn't be friends with that person anymore.
To be honest, someone cutting you off because of your political beliefs isn't a lot different compared to what has happened previously in history. Get your seatbelts on, everyone, because we're going to be here for a while. In the 2010s, we had San Francisco 49ers quarterback Colin Kaepernick, who kneeled during the national anthem to protest police brutality. Colin received a lot of backlash from conservatives, including President Donald Trump himself. When his contract for the 49ers expired, he was not offered any contracts from any NFL teams. Because he expressed his political beliefs, he was cut from his job, and other opportunities to play in the NFL. In the 2000s, Natalie Maines, lead singer of the country band The Chicks, criticized President George W. Bush for his invasions in Iraq at a concert, and in response, a lot of radio stations proceeded to blacklist their music from playing, and received a lot of backlash from conservatives for saying something against the president. Because one of the Chicks expressed their political beliefs, they got cut off from potential listeners listening to their music. If we go back to the 1940s, we had the Red Scare. In the aftermath of World War II, there was an active panic by both the government and the people of anyone who had beliefs that were considered socialist or communist, which was led by Joseph McCarthy, who frequently accused people of being communists. That had led to people being put in prison in the hundreds, and people up to 12,000 losing their jobs. Speaking of people getting arrested for political beliefs, if we go even further back, there was points in history where people were not allowed to criticize the government and speak out against wars. During World War I, President Woodrow Wilson passed the Espionage and Sedition Acts that would suppress people from speaking out against the war effort to criticize the government.
Espionage and Sedition Acts, passed after the United States entered World War I. The Espionage Act made it illegal to interfere in the war effort in any way. The Sedition Act made it a crime to say, quote, disloyal, profane, scurrilous, or abusive stuff about the American government, armed forces, or even its flag. According to historian Paul Averick, as many as 1,000 people went to prison as a result of the Espionage and Sedition Acts signed by Wilson. Some of them got sentences up to 20 years in prison.
Another example is during the Civil War, when Abraham Lincoln passed laws that would arrest people for criticizing his handling of the Civil War.
Abraham Lincoln. You may already be noticing a pattern here. If you mess with the First Amendment, I got problems with you. And yes, Abraham Lincoln messed with the First Amendment. He arrested journalists and newspaper publishers who criticized his handling of the Civil War. His administration censored mail and telegraphs that undermined the war. Lincoln had people arrested singing Confederate songs, for crying out loud. I don't care if it was wartime. That's messed up.
People get cut off for whom they vote for isn't all that different from losing job opportunities, losing the support of the radio, and getting arrested for different political beliefs. Now you might be wondering why for my last examples, my source is Mr. Beats instead of some related articles from Wikipedia. The reason why is that Tommy is aware of these laws. He made a video reacting to Mr. Beats' video. I'm willing to give you the benefit of the doubt that you forgot about these laws while you were scripting the video, but it doesn't change the fact that you are aware of the similar consequences of people stating their political beliefs.
I'm talking about the non-extreme cases, of course. You know, if someone's extremely insane on either side, that's valid to cut them off. Like, sometimes people just can't be helped. But people will cut off their family over who they voted for. Both sides.
1. Blocked.
I blocked my sister too. She the only one that smoked and she couldn't take her ass down there and vote. So now we're cutting off people because they didn't even choose to vote? Bro, what happened to it's the choice to vote? Only 64% of the US population that could vote voted in the last election. It's not like the whole country comes out every time.
I'm not sure if it's the best to use nationwide statistics for your point, because it's not the popular vote who decides who the president is. It's the Electoral College that decides who the president is, and that's decided upon who the districts voted for, and the president who wins the most districts in the state takes all the electoral votes from the state. Take a look at the 2000 and 2016 elections, for example. Both Hillary Clinton and Al Gore won in the popular vote, but lost the Electoral College. So it's not the nation as a whole deciding, it's the states who decide who the president is. And, according to World Population Review, 9 states have less than 63% of the population vote. Also, yeah, I understand someone getting mad at the other for not voting. At the end of the day, the politicians that you vote for and the laws that you vote for will have long-lasting changes, not only for the world, but the country, the states, and the city you live in. It's the opportunity to make life better for you and others. Not voting will result in something you may not like being able to win, making life worse for you and others. Hey everyone, Postpack here. I decided to look up how many likes the video that Tommy shows got, and it only has over 1,000 likes. And the comment that Tommy shows has only 14 likes. This like count is small on a platform like TikTok, where most posts that I see have at least 10,000 likes. If you're trying to show that Gen Z is more hateful, wouldn't it have made more sense to have a video that has over 10,000 likes to show that this is at least a somewhat popular opinion?
And are our generation got the worst of it. We have some of the most extremely odd and insane politicians of all time. One of our presidents was sleeping through half the job, while the other could wake up one day randomly and decide to take some away from us. And the person he was against was campaigning by getting celebrities to twerk on stage.
You cannot be real. I'm sorry, but while you were writing this, did you not look over how much worse you're portraying Trump? The issues that he points out about Joe are frankly irrelevant, because sleeping a lot doesn't impact how he is as president, with the laws he passes, executive orders, and foreign policy. Also, Kamala Harris having celebrities appear at her events is not even mutually exclusive to her. During the 2020 and 2024 elections, Trump had endorsements from Jason Aldean, Zachary Levi, Antonio Brown, LaVon Belly, Elon Musk, and Kanye West. But Biden had endorsements from Cher, Michelle Kwan, Al Gore, The Rock, and Stephen Curry. Pretty much every election post-1900s has had a celebrity endorsement, and celebrities following them on the campaign trail. And again, how would have this impacted Kamala Harris' ability to be president? Trump is the only person whose issues impact his abilities as president, and yet for some reason you're portraying them as if they're all the same? You gotta be kidding me. Hey everyone, Postpack here again. Why is Juice WRLD in the thumbnail when he's not even mentioned once in this video? Using him for clickbait is just as disrespectful as the people who made fun of X, because you are exploiting imagery of a deceased rapper to generate more attention for your video for people to see you talk about Juice WRLD when you don't. And that is where we end the video. Final thoughts. This video was frankly a mess. I'm willing to believe that this was just a dud. I'm not sure if me referencing a couple of your previous videos indicate this, but I have seen a few of your videos and I think they're mostly good. With this video, I don't think I covered too much of this video, but the parts I did cover and focus on were mostly your examples. Arguably, the most important part. The reason why is that your examples are going to support your points, and when your examples aren't that good, then your points are a lot weaker. Nearly everything you mentioned about Gen Z is not exclusive to Gen Z, whether it be them focusing on celebrity beefs, hating on a celebrity, or not getting along with politics. Another issue I had was your awful comparisons. Just because something is bad doesn't mean everything is the same level of bad. We saw this with the clips of men and women hating each other, your awful comparisons of Biden, Trump, and Harris. My advice is to work on those comparisons and examples. I'm going to be honest and say that I don't agree with what you're saying, but if you had better examples and better comparisons, then I could see where you're coming from. And this is where we end the video. Feel free to subscribe and follow me on Twitter and Blue Sky. I'm Pac Margo Music, and I'll see you later.